Okay, so I keep seeing the same argument on Alt Talk saying that you cannot dress alternative without listening to the music or following the politics. And when people say following politics, they mean left-leaning politics. And I disagree. But you have to understand the reason why. I believe that anyone who dresses alternative, and this mainly goes to general alt, they don't need to listen to the music and they don't need to follow any politics, especially left-leaning, because that's what you mean when you say follow politics, because they never said they belong to a subculture. Now, hear me out. Okay, let's talk subcultures for a minute. So I'm gonna name the main three that everybody knows: punk, goth, grunge. All three of them are subcultures that are heavily based in music. Yeah, it's not punk, not really punk. Let's be honest, punk is not based. But they're all left-leaning politics. You have to be involved in left-leaning politics. You can't be racist and be goth. You can't be sexist and be grunge. You can't be homophobic and be punk. That's just not in its values, okay? But that's not to say that goes for every single subculture. And this is the part where people really have to listen. I don't know many right-leaning subcultures, but I know the most popular one are skinheads. Okay? If you see a skinhead on your... okay, I know some skinheads aren't racist, but we're talking about, like, the vast majority are racist. But, if you see a skinhead pop up on your, TikTok feed or whatever it is called, would you say, sir, you can't, or ma'am, I don't know, sir, you can't be racist and be alternative? No, you won't. Because some skinheads, the beginning of skinhead was literally rooted in racism. You're not going to tell a racist subculture to not be racist. That's not how life works, okay? But they're still alternative. They're still a subculture. They're just not right. They're just not left-leaning. Now let's talk about subcultures that are apolitical, which means they don't have politics tied to it. Apolitical subcultures include third wave emo, which means basically more emo, My Chemical Romance emo, type of emos. Scene is not political. And another one, I can't really think of another one off the top of my head, to be honest. But these subcultures are apolitical, meaning they don't need to follow politics to be a part of the subculture. Third wave emo, guys, and scene, which are basically one and the same, they started basically when I mean it started, I mean how it became really popular and trendy in like online and stuff. Because let's be honest, scene was popular and trendy. I don't know much about emo, but scene was popular and trendy online, especially MySpace. But when I say that, when I talk about beginnings, when I say beginnings, I mean when it became popular. So it started off, and as it started off being popular, it started off as teenagers in their room having fun. The same way I'm doing this, they were in their room, with sunglasses, they were in their room, chilling, oh my god, I'm so cool, I'm so seen, raw XD. They weren't worrying about politics, let's be for real. And many OG scene queens would even say, as a child, I wasn't really worried about politics as much. So that's your answers right there. But that doesn't mean that we can't be political as a subculture. I do believe modern scenesters like myself and the way I dress, which is quite modern scene, I do believe that we are more political than the OG scenes. I do believe that. And I do believe modern scene in itself is its own branch of scene which has something to do with politics. I do believe that. But that doesn't mean that scene in itself is political. So keeping in mind, you got left-wing subcultures, right-wing subcultures, and apolitical subcultures. Now let's talk about apolitical general alts. They're called general alts for a reason. They might look the part, but doesn't mean they play the part, because they don't belong to a subculture to play the part of. Let's be for real. If I saw someone dress grunge, which is like those little I would call them Russian hats, but I don't know what they're called. They're like little hats with their flappy at the side and they're furry. If I see someone just like that, the Russian hat, the little top with like the cross in the corner, and like baggy jeans, and maybe New Rock platforms or something, I would, and people call that grunge, I would just assume that they're general alt. With general alt, I don't hold them to the same standard I do to like goths and punks and grunge or whatever, because I know that's just a style. It's not a lifestyle like subcultures are, it's just a style. Maybe yes, they do listen to a bit of rock here and there, that's when they're just a certain way, but that doesn't mean they belong to a subculture to be political. And this does not go for general alts who do adopt goth styles, punk styles, first wave emo styles, stuff like that, because people would actually hold them to the standards of people in that subculture, because if you dress the part, people are going to assume that you are that part, and that's where it gets a little shaky. But it's not as shaky. Let's say if I dress Scene, and let's say Scene was political, started in politics, and I said, oh no, I just call myself alternative because I don't dress the way that the mainstream expects from me. I'm like, okay, go ahead, you go, girl, I don't really care. But if like I said, if Scene was political, and I said, oh yeah, I'm Scene, and so, oh, do you listen to, I don't know, I'm listening to Bring Me the Horizon right now. I'll say, oh, do you listen to Bring Me the Horizon? Oh no, who's that? I only like pop music. And they ever say, oh no, I support Trump. Then I'm like, okay, then you're clearly not Scene. Don't call yourself that. But if they only adopt the style and say, okay, I'm general alt, then I'm fine with that. But now, like I said, if you dress the part of something you clearly don't fall under the umbrella of, or you don't call yourself that, people are going to hold you to that standard, and then people are going to call you a poser, and then people are going to say you're doing this to be trendy. That's why you need to be careful about how you dress and how you present yourself, especially on the internet, because people on the internet, they're the ones who care the most. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't care. You should care, and sometimes you should gatekeep, let's be honest. Especially when people call themselves, I'm going to say punk again, if they call themselves punk, but they don't listen to the music, even the music is not that important, but they don't follow the politics. That's the main thing. Okay? But, I don't really have an issue. You can dress however you want. If I wear all black, right? If I wear all black, clean goth, if I dress that, and people sees me as alternative, that's on them. I'm not dressing alternative, that's on them. They're choice to see me as that, let's be honest. It's their choice to see me as that. If I dress how I am now, Scene, and if someone sees me as emo, that's on them. Doesn't mean automatically I'm a poser and I need to follow the politics of first wave emo, and I need to listen to emo music. I'm very happy listening to Jay Bigger. I'm very, very happy listening to Broken Side. I'm very, very happy being left leaning, even though it's not expected of me as a Scene kid. But anyways, this video is basically, I almost finished 10 minutes. So what do you think about this conversation? Anything that I missed, because I kind of rushed it, I want to speak more on this. I might make part 2 discussing more about subcultures and stuff like that. Anyways,